So I'm making this video to answer some questions about online school. When I was going into wanting to switch to school online, I didn't really understand how it worked. And a lot of the videos that I saw were more like, my daily routine. I get up and make my bed, and then I do this amount of school, and then I have lunch and stuff like that, which is not what this video is going to be like. So this is going to be about more of, why do I do online school? What supplies would you need? How much does online school cost? What are the benefits of online school? What kind of diploma do you get with online school, and where do you go to school online? And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. So let's start off with the first question. Why do I do online school? So my whole life I've suffered with really chronic anxiety, and I've been in multiple programs for it. So my district would pay for me to go to certain programs in other schools. So I did special education, smaller setting, intensive, like daily treatment, everything that I could get care for my anxiety and do school at the same time. Like I said, a lot of smaller settings in those classes so I could focus and work with a counselor and get my work done. And that was great, and I was doing really well in that. I was actually supposed to graduate a year early, but I just couldn't do it because I developed chronic illness in high school, and I'm still undiagnosed, and we're trying to figure out what's going on, but I'm sick every single day of my life. Some days are better than others, but I am sick every single day. So I cannot get to school. My attendance was going into the dumps. I tried night school to try to cut my days in half to see if I could just do it for 3 hours, but I was still sick. There was nothing I could have done, and it was really unfortunate. Now, this is not my first rodeo with online school. I've done online school in the past to gain high school credits through a college to graduate early. I ended up not needing those to graduate early. I still worked it out. So I never completely finished it, but I finished all the classes, and then I found out that you had to show up in real life to take the test, and that it was over an hour away, and then my anxiety kind of started ticking, and I never finished that particular online school. So that one ran through my school district. They were affiliated, connected to that online school, and that was how they helped people that were behind gain extra credit, and it was a lot of money. It was about $1,000 for that as well, and that was for, again, 3 classes, so it was really unfortunate that we dropped that much money and I never got to complete it. So I do online school to manage my anxiety, manage my illness, and just because it's a lot easier for me right now. In my life right now, I know that one diploma is better than no diploma, and that I want something. And I'm sorry that this lighting is really bad. I'm using natural daylight, and it's going in and out because it's the winter. Hi, hello. So moving on to the next topic. Where do you go to online school? What kind of online school do you want? Is it going to be a real diploma? There's a lot of mishap about if online diplomas are real diplomas, and that's what you need to know. There are a lot of online schools that are complete scams and do not give you a credibility, and you are just doing them for basically no reason. Because when you go to get a job, it's not going to be accepted as a real diploma, and same thing for college. So in order to find out what your state or your country, I guess your province in your country or whatever, you would have to contact the person, the higher ups. So for me, I live in New York State, so I had to call New York State Educational Department and talk to them about what are my options, what can I do? And they recommended to me to get my GED or to do something called high school equivalency, which is basically your GED. Because either way, you have to show up and take tests. And for me, I know that I'm going to work really hard on something, and then the day of the test comes, I'll be sick. So it doesn't matter. For me, it wasn't going to work out. They told me that if I got an online diploma from an online school, that it would not be accredited for in New York State because it's not New York State education. And that I would probably not get accepted into community college in New York and be able to get every single job that I wanted. Not saying that I can't get a job, but saying that I can't get every single job that I may have wanted. So you kind of have to pick and choose your battles here. In my mind right now, I'd rather be doing something rather than nothing, and some kind of diploma is better than no diploma because I had to drop out. I'm just working at this right now. In the event that I fall down a path or I get better and they're telling me that I don't have a diploma, I will totally get my GED. So I'll get a New York State GED, and then I'll have a diploma from online school. if you get my drift. But every state is different. That's New York State. If you live in Illinois, it might be completely different. So you have to call basically your state department, or like I said, whoever like is the Department of Education in your country or your province. So be it. Now, a lot of online schools say that they're credible. Just because they say and promote that they're credible and that their diplomas are like 100% real doesn't mean that they are. So make sure you do your research and seriously follow up, read reviews of places, try to find people that have graduated, maybe what kind of jobs they have, if they've went to college, and so on and so forth. So one of the schools that I really, really, really wanted to do was the Keystone School, and that's the one I'm in right now. And I wanted to do this like basically my whole life. I really wanted to in middle school, and we could not afford it. It's a lot of money, and I don't expect my parents to be able to afford that much money for school each year. I only need 6.5 credits, so right now it just seems like the best thing to do to finish up. But if you were going to do high school online your whole life, you have to think about how much that would cost and why maybe your parents don't want to do it. It's not cheap, but we'll get into that. So how I basically enrolled in Keystone. They ask you for your transcript. So you have to call up your school district and say, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you send me a copy, fax me a copy? Can I pick up or can you email me a copy of my transcript? So then once you do that and you get your transcript, you have to send it to somebody over at Keystone. They have to analyze it, and they're going to go over it and find out what classes that you need in their curriculum. Once you send them a copy of your transcript, that is not your official transcript. So when you do online school, you're going to need to eventually send somebody your official transcript. I'm going to work on that. I have to fax over a form giving them consent to get my official transcript. So I will be doing that before I graduate for sure, or else I can't send you the diploma. But because they had that copy, they got all my information together. Once they took my information, they waited a couple days and we played phone tag back and forth, and they're really good at answering the phone, at least for me, like right now they were. I've never had a problem so far with them answering the phone. I've heard other things once you're enrolled for a period of time that once you give them your money, they don't want to talk to you anymore. I don't really know if that's true. Like I said, I just started not that long ago, and I never really called with any questions or anything like that yet. But the woman that I talked to on the phone is very, very, very nice. I love her to death, and that's just basically what's going on so far. So they analyze your transcript, they make you a schedule, you pay them, and then they set up your online account. And your online account pens for a couple days. It takes them a few days to put it together, and then it's done, and then you can view all your classes and do all your classes online. Boom. Done. That's how it is. So it's set up class by class, and you kind of go in. Every class has like basically a different way of doing it. English is a lot of taking notes. Everything is taking notes. Nothing's really printed out so far for English 11. But forensic science, which is my elective class, it's all printout sheets, so I can just click print, and then boom. I just fill in the questions, take my test, and then that's it. There is labs, which are a little bit difficult. I'm not going to lie, I haven't really done them yet. I just skip over them. I'll probably be doing them in the end because I'm going to need parental help with that. But that's just kind of how the setup works. Now let's talk about cost. And this is what I was trying to say. So keep in mind, it is not cheap. Maybe to some families it's not a big deal, but I know we used to struggle really bad financially, and now we're in a better place. But I'm telling you, it's coming out of my savings, so my definition of cheap versus my dad's definition of cheap is kind of different. How much money you spend depends on the classes you need, and it depends on where you're going to online school. Every single online school has different prices, so you just have to keep that in mind. For Keystone, I pay $400 for a 1 credit, and about $300 for a half a credit. It might be like $280, $289. Either way, I enrolled into 2 full credit classes and 1 half credit class, and it came out to be $1,000. It was like $999. So just keep that in mind. It's pretty expensive. They have their prices online. You can go and look depending on what class you need. But like I said, it adds up pretty quick. And I still am going to have to double that plus 1 more class. So I still have about $1,200 to spend on this class and these classes, and it adds up. Another thing I want to talk about is your workload. So, like I said, some classes are different than others. English is definitely really tedious so far. Every single thing you have to write down to know for a quiz, because for me, like, because I was in special education, like, I need to really focus, and if you're that kind of person that has to read everything out loud and like really focus, you're gonna have to take notes on everything, or else you're never gonna remember. And everything's kind of really hard. It's like really jumbled together. Like, there's just one random question in like 3 pages of notes, but you're never gonna know what that question is. So, and either way, you're gonna have to have it all written down for the unit tests. So unless you want to look them up, but I wouldn't advise that, just because there is a lot of like run through. They run through a lot of stuff for like plagiarism and cheating. So I don't recommend that. I mean, personally, I don't. If I had a question that I really didn't understand, I would look it up just so I could understand, but I would never copy the answer. So that's all I'm saying. So now let's talk about supplies. What you basically need. I mean, I didn't know that there was like so many supplies. I wish that when I enrolled, they sent me like a supply list for like all the classes. Instead, it kind of tells you what supplies you need along the way, which kind of sucks because you get on a lesson and then it's like, oh, well, you need a protractor, and I didn't have one just laying around. So for supplies, I basically written everything down so I remember what exactly I need. So first of all, the obvious, you're going to need a computer. I kind of went out of my way and bought a nice computer for college online and for school online. So I bought a Dell Inspiron. This is a 17-inch display running Intel Core i7, and it also has GeForce. So this is a really good gaming laptop as well. But I really like it for school, especially because the screen is touchscreen, so I can kind of scroll as I'm like reading certain things. It's really nice. But again, you don't need to spend that much money on a computer. That's completely optional. It's just, for me, I knew that I need something that's going to last a long time, and it ended up being so much money just because I needed the protection plan and I needed Office and stuff like that for documentation work. So I'm glad I bought what I did, but like I said, it was really expensive. So I spent about $3,000 so far with the computer and the school. So just keep that in mind. Like I said, computers are optional. You might already have a computer. That's great if you do. I just needed something that runs Microsoft, because in the past, doing online school with Mac, it was really difficult for me because I don't really understand computers too well. I'm not gonna lie. Not that good at computer technology, and I never really cared. I don't have the patience to play games. So that was just my best option. Number 2. This is, again, an obvious. You're gonna need notebooks. I like this notebook a lot. So I tend to get really thick notebooks that have divisions, because right now I'm taking 3 classes and I'm going to be doing probably 3 classes at a time. Also, I wanted to say, when you enroll, so how many classes you enroll in, you have a year to complete them. So you can pick how many you want to enroll in. So right now I'm doing 2 full credit classes and 1 half a credit class. So I have a year to complete them, but if I finish them early, I can add more on and then have a year from that start date. So I think it's easier to start with less for me right now, so I don't have to like worry about such a strict schedule to get it all done, and then just kind of add more like as I go on, because I'm telling you guys, I'm not feeling any better lately. So I'm sure that, you know, if I take my time, it will give me something to do for a longer period of time, and it makes me feel a little bit more productive. Next, pens, obviously. I really like pens. You can see that by this. I recommend writing your notes in different colors. It helps me personally, just reading through what's important, what's not, what's in each section. Highlighters for highlighting the notes, and again, pens, pencil, and my biggest thing right now is the whiteboard, and I know it's a mess. It's behind me. You can see it because I doodle while I'm on the phone with the doctors. But I wanted to just say, so everybody uses Expo markers for the whiteboard, but when you're like really writing something down and you want it to stay, I realized that like if somebody comes up and smudges that board or something, this is just gone. So I really do like using these overhead projector ones that the teachers used to use for overhead projection, just because you have to like wet them in order for them to come off. They do not come off, they do not smudge if you let them dry and you just let them sit there. So these are basically my favorite thing ever. Next up for my class, I love post-it notes and index cards, a ruler, graph paper, a compass, a protractor, and a calculator are all things that I ended up needing. I also, of course, need a printer to print out some of my classwork and to help me stay focused and like keep going. I always snack on like candy at my desk, and fun fact, you want to have a couple different areas where you can work that are kind of clean. So I have my desk cleared off, and then I have a workstation at my desk. Then sometimes I lay on my bed and I just do it on my bed. Then sometimes I do it in the kitchen. So I find that really helps me like kind of stay focused if I'm moving around. And make sure you don't like constantly stare at the screen, because it just gets so overplayed and then I get a headache and it's just like, So I just thought I'd add that in there. But I think that's basically it. I mean, we went over how much it costs, we went over credibility, why I do school, some supplies that you would need, and yeah, I mean, at this point, it's really up to you. You have to find what kind of school you want to go to. Another thing that I just want to say really quickly that I should have probably mentioned first with calling your New York State Education Department is talk to your school. You could talk to them when you go to request your transcript and just see if they offer any online school like through your school district, because some school districts actually offer online school at home through the district, and it's completely free. So it really depends where you go to school, like I said. And yeah, I hope this was helpful to somebody, because when I went into this, I really had like no idea like how to go about it, and I just kind of had to get everybody's advice. So like my school's advice, the state's advice, and the online school's advice. So I was kind of lost on like where to go and what to believe. And I'm going to continue to update you like once I finish, and maybe about some other things. Like if anybody has any more questions, I'd love to make a second video and answer some questions regarding like why I do this or about it, anything specific. If you have any questions, please comment them down below and I will totally answer them. If you want to see how I like kind of work a day, like kind of how the videos are that are already out there, I would do it. It's just when I was looking for a video about like how the diplomas are, like if they're legit, or you know, like where do I go to school or stuff like that, I just was kind of lost. And how do you even do it? I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope it was helpful. I really do. And I will talk to you guys some other time. Goodbye.